Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and I am going to be reviewing episode 5 of WWE Evolve. I've done all of them so far, so if you've missed any of them, you can check it out in the channel. But yeah, this is actually probably one of the most consistent episodes because I had quite a few matches. A lot of them were pretty solid, and we'll just jump into it. The show, you know, by each fade. So first off, we have Brindley Reese versus Zeta Steel. Now, I've been waiting for Zeta Steel since episode 1 because to me, in my mind, she was like one of the top names, and they've been teasing her like getting a match. And then she lost tonight. I was kind of surprised because we've had a lot of it where it's like NXT talent versus like the Evolve talent to a certain extent. And most of the time, it's been towards the NXT people, which this episode definitely is about 50-50. But um, this I just kind of thought was going to be a Zeta Steel win. I mean, Brindley Reese had, I think, already won one match, and this was Zeta Steel's first match, and she was being like the first number one pick that they did for the ID program. There was just a lot. I kind of assumed that it was going to be the other way around. I think the match itself was pretty solid. It was a nice, solid 5 minute match. I like them around like 5 minutes because it's like one. I like cage match a lot, so like it has to be up on cage match, and the only way you can rate them is if they're 5 minutes. If you're not under 5 minutes, then you just don't get the rating, which kind of sucks. So it's nice that they at least get them to that 5 minute thing with a pretty packed show. We had 5 matches and one like promo thing, so I thought that was pretty decent. But yeah, this match I would probably put in a solid B. Great way to start the show. It definitely was like one of the most fun matches out of all of them, just because of like the move sets that they both had. And I like Reese's to pieces, like her finisher. I think that's a pretty nice move for her. I don't like her gimmick. I like her. I like her wrestling, but the gimmick, the Brenner G and the fitness guru thing, I'm not a big fan of. But hopefully that changes. Then we had Kiana Carver versus Luca Crucifino, which is part of the family. Which this one was one of those matches I was like, this is either going to be a Crucifino win or another squash by Luke by Carver, but it was neither. It was a solid 5 minutes. Carver ended up getting the win. Luca looked pretty decent, but Carver definitely like steamrolled him towards the end. And I think that's like it was kind of confusing because I wish they would have just let him steamroll him a little bit more because it would have really made him look like a force to be reckoned with. And I think that's what they're trying to go with. And obviously, you don't really want to be like knock out a NXT talent that easily, but like this would have been the kind of case that I think would have been okay, but a good another B match. I do think I like the Zeta Steel match over this one, like if I had to put them side by side, but I still thought it was pretty decent. Then we had kind of a miniature squash match with Chantel Monroe versus Holiday. Chantel Monroe, I think, is like one of those prime. I think there's like three women that I could definitely say would be at the top of like the what they're gonna push, and I think Chantel's one of them. And I like her. She has like a lot of personality in and outside of the ring. I think like she could definitely use a little bit more in ring time, not necessarily like because of like skills, just more of like actually being inside the ring. She's had two kind of quicker matches, but she's 2-0 in Evolve. Again, I think this one I would still kind of put in the lower B, like a B minus minus minus, but it still would be in the B category. Then we had the face off. I think this was, yeah, the face off was before the two main events. I honestly didn't mind it. I just didn't understand why we really needed it. I kind of like that they have stuff like this, but this kind of stuff would be good to use on like a Twitter or like an X or something, like where you have these small little like things that they film that they throw up on X, and then if they do really well, then you can add them to the show. And if they don't do really well, you could just put them in there. I put it on C. It was fine. I do like that you can at least get some promo work from some of these people, so I do like that. It just to me, I didn't really like. Oh, okay, but hopefully it leads to a match because I think it'd be pretty solid. Next up, we had Coffey versus Harlem Lewis. This was the first one. Like it was supposed to be like the double main event. I just didn't really care for it as much. Both men's style was just kind of like knock them, beat them down type thing. And when you have that kind of going back and forth, it just felt like, oh, one person's gonna get a lucky shot, and that's basically Joe Coffey missing with his punch, and then Harlem Lewis taking from it. I do like what they've done with Harlem Lewis. He seems like he's pretty towards the top. Like you can kind of see who's raising to the top and who's going to be just kind of in there to do talent and stuff. And I kind of was surprised that he beat Joe Coffey because Joe Coffey's been in some solid PLEs for NXT. So and like part of a faction in NXT. So I kind of didn't really expect that. But he also beat Wolfgang last week. So yeah, just making the rounds of Gallus. I put the match in the C. I still was pretty solid. I liked that it was on the show. Next up, we had Wendy Chu versus Kylie Ray. I think this was definitely by far the best match of the night. I think it just had a really good, solid back and forth. But I'm very surprised that Kylie Ray has now lost twice in Evolve because, like, to me, she was like the most recognizable name other than Zeta Still, but that was just because I like Zeta Still when she was in Marigold. But she was like the most recognizable name that I saw that were non NXT talent. So I kind of expected her to be like towards the top, but two losses in a row is kind of crazy. Wendy Chu looked good. I still like her gimmick, the whole nightmare-ish thing, but I don't think it's gone on with the main roster. I don't mind her being the big boogie, person down here. I probably put this in A. If you rate him like his actual like hardcore technical sound things, I'm not really doing that. I'm mainly just doing it like based off of entertainment and like the card. But I thought this was one of the best episodes. That first episode still has like a special place in my heart because of the opening match and the main event. Those two were really good. The middle match was just squash, but those two matches were just so good that it's hard to do it. But this one got close. This is probably the closest out of all the other episodes to being top tier and stuff. But yeah, I quite enjoyed it. If you guys are enjoying Evolve, shoot it down in the comments, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.